What's poppin'? My name's Richie. Today we have 10 things that could inspire you to create cool new stuff. Basically, these are tips and tricks which you can use on your maps, which you can use wherever you want to draw your friends. With that being said, let's go into it. Alright, so starting with the first one, which is a little trick which you can do in the consumable gallery. You can find that obviously in devices and then go consumable gallery. You can see that our apple over here is a little bit trippy already. And if I'm gonna remove this piece right here, you can see that the apple is going to fall down. That is the only piece in this gallery which can do this. Not only can it just fall down, it can also roll and kind of be its own object if you think so. So if you're gonna place something like this here, you can even see that if I'm gonna place it one more time on here, so like this, and I remove this again, you can see that it even falls and rolls. So that is obviously something that is quite unique and quite interesting to say at least. Where people build like, I don't know, factories, like Apple factories and stuff like that, which I think is super cool. You can obviously use the trick tile to kind of like have some channels in there and, you know, have it drop on certain limits. But this is the only item that can do that. And there's also another cool trick, which I'm going to show you now. All right, moving on to number 2, and it still has to do with that little apple. Since this apple is like super special, it can also do some other different things. As you can see, I can click on all of these items here and the prop gun will not transform me into that. But with this little apple, it will. And for some reason, this apple is super tiny now. I think that is quite funny to see. That is already cool in itself, and it is kind of interesting that only this item, for whatever reason, can be transformed into a prop. But if you, for example, stand on something like high or something, you can see here that this is completely glitching out, you can say. And the thing is like bobbing around and doing like all kinds of cool stuff. So I think that is pretty interesting, and especially for like people that use props, that is obviously something very cool to know. Okay, moving on to number 2, I have some terrain tips for you now. And for this one, we're going to go into the newest gallery or newest terrain gallery which got added, which is still bugged for whatever reason. So if you go into the galleries here and you see the Swamp Cliff Gallery, in this picture it looks perfectly fine, but you can see that a lot of the pieces are still the sandy thing, which is not supposed to be there. But there's one piece in this gallery which we're gonna quickly take out. So let's quickly pull down the whole gallery here. So this piece right here, which is super underrated because obviously it's flipped upside down, it is very unique and very different, and you can use that to create some awesome terrain. So what this piece is basically like a hilly landscape, you can say, and you can create or you can basically use this to create some really cool hills if you scale that up. The one thing which is bad about this is that it's sadly not really like the hitbox of that thing is kind of like very rough and not very like precise, you can say. So you can see if I scale that up here, you can see that the hitbox is not really fitting where it should be. Like there's a lot of stuff where it shouldn't be, but that's obviously no problem if you're going to use this for creating like just walls and stuff like that. So that is like super cool. You can create some really unique stuff by just flipping them up and then using them here as this, and you can see how seamlessly they fit into each other just because of their like rough terrain that they have on it. So you can definitely use that for that, and it is looks super neat and super unique. Okay, moving on to number 4, we now have a new option in the buttons, which is interact time, which means it takes a while to hold and interact something, which is super amazing, and it can be used, quite frankly, to kind of draw your friends with chests. So you can see that chests obviously open with this search button, but you can also kind of override that button when you place a normal button in front of it, and then you turn the interact radius all the way up to 2 meters, and that means basically you cannot enter this search here, which opens the chest, as you can see, but it basically kind of only gives you the option to press the button. And since you guys know that a button obviously cannot open a chest, nothing will happen, and your friends will be quite confused on why they had to press the chest 20 seconds and nothing happened. The coolest thing now comes that you can go into this button and then set an activating team. So only team 1 can activate this thing, which means if your friends are on team 1, they only can press this button, but if you are on team 2, you can just basically just open that. So, and that will confuse your friends, or you know, whatever creative form you want to use it for. But I could quickly go and show you guys this. So you can see here that I can go around this chest, and there's no way that I can open the chest normally. I'm now on team 1. I don't know if you can see that actually, but I'm on team 1, so otherwise I could not open this or can see the C. And if I'm going to press this, you can see that I have to press this for 20 seconds. And if, like, we can quickly skip that forward. So you can now see that as soon as I kind of finish this, it just starts again and nothing happened there. But the explosion, which is on another channel. But you can see I cannot basically open this chest. There's no way that I can open it. So now I'm gonna hop in team 2, which I'm now in, and you can see I can just easily open that. So that is obviously a very cool way on how to confuse your friends and to kind of make fun of them why they cannot open the chest. So that is something you can definitely use, and let's move on. Okay, so tip number 5 has something to do with zombies and basically making jump scares. All of you guys know that jump scares are one of the best ways to kind of make cool and horror maps. But one of the coolest ways to use them is by having like super pitch black dark rooms and making run zombies through these billboards. All you have to do for the billboards to be completely black is just turn them to the show border off and then make sure that they are black on the background, but that should be on default. And once you start the game, you can see that a zombie will spawn and then we'll walk out of a pitch black room, which I think is super amazing and kind of scary. If you guys like me, you probably like to use the water islands. I like to use them for like clean stuff. But there's a way to spice up these water islands even more, and that is by basically placing a barrier below the water, which then looks like super amazing. All you have to do is just place whatever block you want to place the barrier on. Then make sure you place the barrier on whatever block. Well, I place it beside it, it's whatever. And now you can go into the barrier, make sure that it's like just a half of the height, so like that. And then turn up the width and the depth as big as possible. And you can now see it covers the whole island. And now we go into the barrier here and choose one of the cool, let's take Nebula Green. And if you go up, you can see this looks amazing. Okay, let's move on to the next one, which is a quick thing I want to show you guys because we basically got a new gallery yesterday without an update. We just got randomly, got them again. Which is the Steel Bridge Gallery. It comes in like a bunch of different colors, but there's one piece in particular, which is this piece over here, which has the option to hold any kind of building on it. So it is basically a terrain piece, but it looks like a normal street or like a bridge piece or whatever, which is one of the only items which we have, which is like not a terrain piece which can do this. So I think that is very cool to know and definitely can be used for quite some cool stuff. Especially in like Zone Wars maps and stuff where you have to build and you don't have to do some weird glitching with the other pieces here and put them under it or whatever. So that is obviously something very useful to know and gives some quite cool opportunities. Okay, let's move on to the next one, and that is something that I found out by Utah actually, where we had our building competition with the houses, the tree houses. I'll obviously leave you guys a link in the description, but there are two different types of trees. Obviously there's this tree from the season 1 or chapter 1, which is kind of like the old version, and then we have this newer one, which is obviously from chapter 2. The reason why these two are so different and why you should always use the chapter 2 trees instead of the chapter 1s, unless you obviously don't need the features that they have, is because the chapter 1 trees have a very hard hitbox when it comes to the tree branches over here. So you can see that I cannot really go into the tree here, so I cannot jump here, I cannot go onto the little things here, it's blocking me. If we go to the chapter 2 trees and we can go up here, you can see that I can freely move around here and can even jump on these trees branches here and walk around, which is obviously something that is very good to know, especially if you're building tree houses. Up next, we have a little creation of myself, and that is using this new piece or this new water type here to create some kind of weird lava-ish floor, which is not really lava. Okay, so I know most of you guys know that we have this lava thing here. And also most of you guys probably know that you can turn lava surface on and off, which means basically you can bounce off the lava here. But obviously this is like very specific and not everybody wants lava in their map, but the bouncing effect is quite cool. So what you can do is basically use any kind of like, let's say, transparent piece of whatever you have. So I like to use this one here and then put grass on top of it. Because the reason why I like this piece in particular, because it doesn't move that much. The other water pieces kind of like move quite a bit, so you can see that they are moving quite a bit, but this piece rarely moves. It's like very still and stable, so that's why I like to use this one for this. And it looks like super nice. It looks like there's some actual grass but with the bouncing effect, so that can obviously be used for quite some cool stuff. Alright, last but not least, knowing how to use shadows creatively. And that is a very cool thing to especially have in like kind of mystery maps or adventure maps, where you can use shadows to create atmospheres and even like little Easter eggs or like hints which you can do. So you can see here that I have this like nice little shadow which is done by stuff that is above here. I can show you that in a second again. But if we press this button here, it says the hidden number. So what does that mean? We can press and there's an explosion and out of a sudden the number 7 appears. And there's only the number 7 on top here. And that can obviously be used for quite some unique scenarios. But basically how this is working is, as we quickly go back into our creative mode here. So basically what I did here is I used these wooden pieces that you can build with. And I also use the number 7 on top of here to kind of hide the number 7. And then as soon as I press this button, this explodes and the number 7 appears. Obviously, you can do this in all kinds of different ways, but this is the easiest that I just came up with. But the main point that I'm trying to say here is try to be creative with your top layers of buildings that you have. Because obviously not all pieces let shadows pull through, like this water piece, right? The most of the water pieces can do that, besides of the lava one, I think. And you can use that very creatively to create some very unique shadows and very unique lighting in your scenarios. So that is basically all I have for you today. Hopefully you got inspired by this, and hopefully you could learn something new. And don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, and I will see you guys back in the next video. Bye!